The Fulton Steamers made it to the 1A quarterfinals. They finished with a record of 9-3. This year's team will look a little bit different than last year's team. This will be a fairly young team for the Steamers this season. Their success will be determined on how quickly those guys adjust and, how much physicality they can bring to that varsity level football. That's, what Coach Lower had pointed out in his notes to me. I think they will rely on some of that senior leadership that they have. One of those players being Balin Damehoff. He was making plays last year for him. He's back at a wide receiver position. Big, tall wide receiver, 72 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. They'll certainly rely on him for the big play ability. What else do you see in Fulton this year? What do you like?
Well, Coach Laura didn't really announce it on here, so I don't know if he is coming back. I would assume he would be, but Lucas Schroeder definitely stood out a lot last year in the run game, and I know he was only a junior last year, so I'm assuming he's back. He ran for 812 yards and 13 touchdowns for the Steamers last season, so that's one of the things that I think will definitely help balance Fulton off. In talking to Coach Lower, obviously, his look into this year is very similar to what it was last year. He's like, well, we could be 5-4, we might be 7-2. We're just hoping that we're playing our best football by the time we hit the playoffs. And like you said, he's going to be a young team. He's going to have to rely on a lot of different things in order for the Steamers to have success. But having the success that they've had over the last 4 seasons now.
Yep.
They have a lot to build off on, and your incoming kids, and even pretty much everybody that's here has experienced that success from freshman year through 7th grade, 6th grade. So they just want to be able to be the next class that continues that trend for the Steamers. And that's what Coach Laura is really hoping on and relying on, is that these seniors will continue to help guide the ship and keep the Steamers going forward.
Guide the ship. It's a pun, whether you meant it or not.
I did mean it, but
couple guys to look at. Interesting name to watch for. Sophomore Landon Lau, wide receiver, 6'4". Coach talked about him being a fast wide receiver. He's had a good summer for him. Somebody who has good speed and can stretch the field. Him alongside a Damehoff. And then senior Trevor Tiesman, also as a wide receiver, playing safety on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to be, the target for Dom Kramer, a junior quarterback stepping in, labeled as a dual threat quarterback with a strong arm. So, I think I like some of the pieces here that Fulton has, even if they're a younger team or maybe they haven't had as many starts under their belt. I think there's a lot of talent here.
Oh, definitely. Even moving Dom Kramer to QB, which he's only going to be a junior, and I got to play against him this summer in baseball, and you can definitely see the size and athleticism that he does have. The very strong arm part, I've seen that firsthand. And he'll be a dual threat QB. So it gives the Steamers a lot of options. And then if you take a look a little bit further down, you have AJ Boardman there, who is going to be a running back and linebacker. And if anybody remembers, he was the quarterback at West Carroll for the last 2 years. So he transferred to Fulton right ahead of the baseball season, and he'll be there again this year for his senior year. And, there's options there. Now, they don't obviously intend to use AJ as a quarterback, but there's another option, to throw in another play. If you want to do a halfback option pass, it's available for them. So they got some pieces to work with and put some extra sauce, so to speak, into their play skills and their play calls.
Yeah. Another couple of names that Coach threw out there: Skylar Crooks, a running back who will be a junior, described as a fast, physical runner. Coach said he would get a lot of carries. Jacob Husingay, tight end. I think I pronounced that right. Husingay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. There we go. Josiah Held and Landon Boonstra on the line. So another couple guys to watch for there, sophomore and junior. And those, other two names were also juniors. So like we said, a little bit of a younger roster, but Maybe it's just the way that Coach Lower described all of them, but I like what I see here in Fulton. Maybe he just sold his players really well, but I like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, and like I said, you could sit here and say that Fulton might be down this year because of the lack of experience, and yet, like I said, you hope that you can build off of that. Last year, I'd project them to be 5-4, and they turned some heads when they upset Dupec over in Durand, and then they beat the teams that they were supposed to beat, and then
Yep.
they had that game against that school out of Michigan, and that was even a very close game that I felt that they should have won, had the opportunity to win, missed a field goal late, unfortunately, but it was sloppy playing conditions in that one. But
Yeah.
overall, you could definitely. I felt last year after a couple weeks, I really felt that Fulton was probably the second best team in the state behind Lena Winslow. And, some people, you can sit there and say that CPC was. I felt that CPC did a great job against Lena Winslow in the state championship game, which they did, but nobody really could stop Lena Winslow last year. And, Fulton was one of those teams that put a good scare into Lena Winslow.
Yep.
They just couldn't come up with it all the way through. And that's been their nemesis so far since their arrival into the NUIC. Back-to-back quarterfinal losses to Lena Winslow after big routes in the regular season as well. So they know what they got to look forward to, and they have the ability to make some noise this year.